Today we're going to be diving into a little bit of Web3 gaming, how this is all affecting the market, and of course there's some interesting things happening. My name is Paul Barron. Welcome back into TechPath. Let's dive in a little bit of what's going on in the handheld gaming sector. One thing I want to touch on, of course, is Samsung, which has unveiled a Flex device, which is a foldable handheld console. This was at MWC. Pretty interesting here. I think, it's kind of interesting that it looks so much like the Flip. This is brilliant. I think it's a good move for Samsung. It also expands quite a bit in the market. Furthermore, they had this device that they also talked about, the Flex handheld. So we may see not only the Flip open, but also the stackable screens, which really do change up the experience quite a bit. Other things that are happening, remember that Nintendo Direct is also coming live on the 2nd of April. This possibly could be the announcement of a new Switch. We will see how things go. Switch 2 is being portrayed. And if you look at something that's going on here, one from our channel partner, Sui, they have the SuiPlay device. And remember the OX1, originally, we did a little design on this. There was the original design right there. And then when you look at the new design, very similar here to the Nintendo Switch. So taking some design cue, definitely from Nintendo, and starting to move, I think, in the right direction for handheld gaming. Other things that, of course, start to move, you have to look at the glasses market, and this is something that Meta, of course, has pioneered, but now XREAL is getting a big market share. 51% of markets in Q3 starting to roll up on these new AR glasses. I want to go to a clip real quick because this is one that we think, when you look at devices like that, could be very good for handheld gamers. Take a look.
I'm talking iPhones, Nintendo Switch, Steam Deck, MacBooks. You just plug it in and it's ready to go.
And it will do all the processing inside of the glasses instead of relying on your device, which I have to reiterate doesn't require an application to be present on whatever device you are using the glasses with. In anchor mode, you can turn your head away from the pinned screen and it will not follow you. The display stays in place like a real monitor or television.
It has ultra low latency at 3 milliseconds, which is actually 4 times better than the Apple Vision Pro.
You can even use these with a Switch with an HDMI to DP adapter.
These have improved stabilization and no shaking, which makes for a really great gaming experience. It honestly feels like a luxury.
The perfect companion for handheld gaming.
And for that, this is it.
All right, guys, these are going to explode. We were over on the XREAL shop. We've shown this before, this device. This is the ones you just saw on the clip right there are kind of the first generation. This, of course, being the XREAL Air 2s. These are the Ultras. When these hit the market, I think this really starts to shift a lot in the handheld gaming sector, and we could see some pretty big movements quickly. Now, what is the catalyst for potential growth? One, of course, you have to look back all the way to 2008 when the App Store launched, and we saw a boom in handheld device games, apps, you name it, core developers. Then Pokemon Go came in, and that was 2016. That created this AR phenomenon. Now here we are, getting ready to kind of transition maybe further into a combination of new devices, AR, XR, and really seeing kind of next generation gaming start to become a real thing. The Gaming Summit is being held by Sui over in March 18th, and there I anticipate we're going to see some big announcements within it. One thing I highlighted further on down here in the page was some very key points right here. Aaron Goldsby, you guys remember him? We've had Mythical on before, but Mythical Games, are we in a position here where maybe Mythical is going to be moving over to Sui? I don't know. Let me know down in the comments. I always love to get you guys' feedback. It kind of gives us some insights. Last up here, we're going to be talking about Ronin today and Ronin's Gaming Empire. This was a good, if you guys remember, Fableborn won Best Mobile Game at the Games GG Awards. And this is a big deal because as you see the evolution of where gaming is coming from, especially in Web3, you always have to look back at the history of that, and that, of course, is Axie Infinity. And I wanted to bring on Aleksander coming in from SkyMavis to kind of break some of this down. Aleksander, how are you?
I'm good, Paul. Thanks for having me. I think this is the 3rd time that I'm here, so excited to talk about gaming.
It's been good. Oh, well, definitely now. We got a lot of things happening in the market. Seems like technology is starting to catch up with this as well. Here's a couple of tweets I wanted to hit on you and get your opinion on this. You look at what's happening with the SuiPlay device, and of course, some of your people out there talking about possibly a handheld gaming device on the Ronin network. What do you think about this? Is it possible?
Yes, I mean,
Just say it. Give us one, Aleksander.
I won't be able to spoil something like that here, unfortunately. But what I will say, though, is that we are incredibly excited about all sorts of innovation in the gaming space. I think that's why we're building in Web3. We think that has the best benefit for players. We've seen what has happened with Solana, obviously what they did with their phone. But I think hardware is historically really hard to do right.
Yeah, for sure. Aleksander, you saw the clip on XREAL. They've got their developer SDK available. And I'm wondering, when you look at the way that they're transitioning, if this becomes a new device that gamers can use, why not port all of your games right into what XREAL is doing? I mean, did you see some of the examples given there? I mean, they were pretty phenomenal.
Yeah, I mean, to me, that actually looks amazing. So it's always this question of like, when are these hardware devices actually ready for mainstream adoption? And I think we touched on this the last time as well. When I saw Apple Vision Pro actually get released, I was super excited about it. Unfortunately, I didn't have a chance to try it yet. But for these, the XREAL Air 2 Ultras, I think for me as a kind of, how can I say it, as non-native user of these like VR type of devices, I need it to be super lightweight. I need it to be only the benefits, right? So that I can put them on and then very easily interact with the world in front of me. So now we're talking about something that excites me, because I think when I go back and I remember being a little bit bearish on some of these things, but to me, this is also about like, where are we at in the technology innovation kind of cycle?
I think we have come a long way since our original discussion about XR, AR, VR, XR, especially with you look at the advancement that XREAL has made. That's only going to push the market. Most likely we'll see some more devices like this come on for sure. Ronin is now open. How has this affected the ecosystem? I'm looking at a tweet by you guys. This is the layer of projects in there, obviously Ready Gamer right there. How's this affected you guys with an open network like this now?
Yeah, I think last time I also mentioned that part of the strategy and going permissionless has kind of always been a part of the plan. But from our side, it's really been great to see all the demand that has come in from developers. And, I think over the past 3-4 years, we've been very curated. We've been very careful with the partners that we've been able to work with. But now finally, we're at the point where we can actually welcome all of these guys. And of course, we have like strong product market fit with gaming developers because of the tools and the services, but also the know-how that the team has. But now I think we have some work to do with actually attracting different type of app developers, and also particularly DeFi, which is where I'm spending a lot of my time right now. How can we basically make this ecosystem about something else than just gaming? Because gaming is like kind of been our core, but we have to kind of expand a little bit from there. And the attraction, of course, for these other app developers is that the same as the game developers, they come to us because we actually have the users. Ronin on any given day has anything from 500,000 to 750,000 daily active users. And from a monthly perspective, there's anything from 1.6 million to 2.5 million. Now, that's a lot of users for application developers that want to hit that type of traction. And that's been the pitch that we've had since the beginning.
I was looking at your users, matter of fact, you kind of hit right there. The returning users have been pretty dynamic on Ronin. And you look at kind of the evolution of where Web3 gaming has gone, to your point, is you're starting to splinter a little bit maybe towards DeFi. How do you keep these users in the ecosystem? Do you think it's going to be transitioning over to other functionality within the Ronin network?
Yeah, exactly. So one of the things that we saw during the last run-up of Axie, basically in 2021, is that a lot of the users that came in, they have never even used any sort of crypto app before. A lot of them didn't even have bank accounts. But when they came into Axie, they wanted to explore what's beyond Axie inside of the crypto ecosystem. Maybe they wanted to take up loans. Maybe they wanted to do something else. And unfortunately, at that time, we didn't have all of those services and tools available on Ronin, so they churned out of the ecosystem. And now our focus is to ensure that since we have the place where they come in first, basically the consumer layer, we can now also have the retention layer at the bottom, so that they can do more things inside Ronin, take up different type of loans, play different type of games, do social fi, even launch their own meme coins. So for example, Tama.meme on Ronin has launched over 21,000 tokens since it went live a couple of weeks ago, which is actually really good if you compare to such a young ecosystem from a kind of open perspective.
It'll be interesting to watch. I want to talk about Apple for a minute, because when you look at Apple, it's a closed ecosystem. There has been scenarios with Apple that have really plagued the market. Apple prioritized their revenue here recently, despite the legal risk. One of the things they hit on was that they were continuing to steer customers outside the app. So if they did do this, it was going to end up with a pretty impactful revenue hit for Apple in general.
So I think that they're going to be forced to open up, regulators around the world, but also consumers that want to interact with different type of applications that maybe go against the terms of use that Apple has at the moment. I think it's been a very interesting period for Apple, but for now, let's say, games like Epic, right, they're challenging this really heavily. And even from our side, from the crypto perspective, obviously, we believe that users deserve to own their own data and NFT assets and trade them with other users without necessarily a middleman like Apple in between there.
Well, and, Schiller this was a testimony from him, and they were talking about the revenue numbers. Let me kind of zoom in on that. If only 5% of in-app purchases from just the top 200 apps shifted over to web payments, they'd lose hundreds of millions. And this was a conservative estimate. So this is a real impact on Apple, especially if we get into, I think, billions in reference to revenue here. Then you have the Justice Department, of course, suing Apple for monopolizing smartphone markets. And you got to remember, Tim Cook made a nice little homage over to Trump's office and even down here to Mar-a-Lago. You think that the Trump administration is going to let them slide on this? What are your thoughts there? You think they get away with this?
Oh, wow. I think it's very hard to predict what the Trump administration is going to do, especially in this day and age. They definitely want to protect American companies, though. So, if we have that as a principle in place, we can say, is it more protective to keep it closed, or is it more protective to actually open it up for other American companies to kind of build so that maybe the platform can get bigger? So this is actually a tie into why we decided to open Ronin. We think that if we need to increase the pie, we need to make it bigger. So we cannot stay closed. We need to enable other developers to come in and build and utilize the amazing things that we've created. And I think if Apple does the same, there's an opportunity to grow beyond what they have today. But the sacrifice, of course, for Apple is that the revenue numbers, as you can see, they're just incredible. And right now, even to this today, a company, a big game company out of Finland, Supercell, you might be familiar.
Right.
They are actually driving users outside of the App Store into their web shop to buy, let's say, gold stuff. And they get a discount if they buy it there because it's actually cheaper for them. So this is actually happening today already. It's just very selective from Apple which companies they're trying to censor because they're losing money if they censor the wrong company, basically, like Supercell, because they are driving significant amounts of revenue to that company.
So I hope you're right. Maybe we do see an open ecosystem within Apple and maybe in the next decade. We'll see. Listen, we got to talk about Polygon, Ronin, ZK EVM. Why do you think Polygon is not getting love right now? This is one of the chains that seemingly has a lot of opportunity, but yet at the same time, the market, whether you're trading Polygon or even developers, not necessarily choosing Polygon. Why?
Right. So I think for Ronin, our decision to experiment with Polygon ZK EVM was made last year because we like the tech and we respect the Polygon team as builders. I think commercially and actually getting this to something really viable has kind of been the problem for now. So of course, we are looking into what does actually a Ronin ZK EVM look like? When can we start to use this for our developers? And there's a lot of pressure coming from us to the Polygon teams. And I think that's really a part of the issue that they're facing from many different teams as well. This is still very experimental tech. And when you look at something like Base or Arbitrum or even ZK Syncs, right, there's a lot of challenge in that space for scaling solutions. And there's a lot of opportunities for chains like Ronin, who are basically have a delegated proof of stake layer one, but then are looking, what does it look like from a scaling perspective beyond just that, right? So I think Polygon has some issues there where they actually just need to ship and actually get this to use, right, which is always the issue for blockchain companies. But unless they can do something really fast, then I think it's going to be quite challenging for them.
Interesting. Why do you think we're seeing so much activity out of Base? Here's just some of the daily active user addresses versus what we're seeing over here with obviously Ronin and Polygon. Why is Base moving so much now?
Yeah, so I think Base is in such a incredibly strong position by the fact that they have this very, really tight relationship with Coinbase. I mean, it is Coinbase, of course.
Yeah.
So a lot of trust is in that chain using it, right? So, people are probably not afraid of any sort of hacks or like less afraid of rugs, etc. But it's also, they get a lot of kind of free app developers that come there because they want to get listed on Coinbase as well.
Yeah.
But actually what we've seen when it comes to AI agents, for example, a team like Virtuals, they didn't even get listed on Coinbase, which is incredible compared to them actually building natively on that chain. So, of course, some criticism on my part for Coinbase. And I think that for app developers, there's definitely no magic bullet to just deploying on base to just get listed on Coinbase. But, it's worth a shot, I guess.
But active users are still up. So, I mean, you look at, yes, that did happen with Virtuals.
Of course, people still believe in that. And I think that there's a lot of usage. Of course, like people want to experiment, right? They want to use the applications that are there. I think Coinbase did a really great job when it comes to the on-chain summer thing they did last year. And then it's been like a really great go-to-market and a segue from there. So overall, I feel like they've done a good job.
Aleksander, you look at the chains that are available right now over on OpenSea, and you've got Avalanche in there, heck, even Blastflow. Why not Ronin getting onto OpenSea? When will we see that happen?
I know Devin.
Come on, Aleksander.
I known Devin for 7 years, something like that. Who from Coinbase, obviously. What I can say that we're talking to Coinbase, to OpenSea. And I think OpenSea is really interesting to have on Ronin. So it can happen, no guarantees, but I think it's more likely to happen than unlikely.
More than likely to happen than unlikely. Okay, well that's not a yes.
More likely than unlikely. Yeah.
Okay, gotcha. I just want to make sure I got that right. Meme coin cycles. Do you think that has reached its end right now?
I think that there's been a little bit too much extraction in terms of the amount of money that's flown out of the ecosystem into, let's say, companies like Pump.fun. And also a lot of people are getting wrecked and rugged all over the place, right? So there's very little substance being built in some of these ecosystems, which I think is unfortunate because the promise of meme coins to me is actually about culture and building community and doing something real together, which is actually what we've seen on Ronin, where we see that a lot of like early stage meme coins are becoming communities, and a lot of people they come in and they sell all the tokens immediately, and then it becomes the lore for the future of a meme coin. For example, like Ronke, which is like a blue monkey on Ronin. It's only got like $4 million in market cap right now, but there's like this very vibrant community of believers, which I think is more what I am attracted to when it comes to meme coins, rather than this like massive run up and then like someone is rugging and just like, I don't like that at all. And I think you can see that it's really kind of burning out when you look at the adoption for Pump.fun and the amount of tokens that are launched every day. So obviously the numbers don't lie here.
Yeah, I think we're just following that. AI agents on Ronin. What about that? We've got Virtuals talking about this a little bit, bringing AI-powered agents over to Ronin.
So I think Virtuals is actually about creating frameworks for AI agents inside games, which to me actually make a lot of sense. So of course, we're super interested in different type of AI agent use cases on Ronin because these AI agents, they will be played by the players, so to say. The players own many AI agents, and I think they will play against each other in those type of games, which then will be perhaps on-chain games. So I'm super bullish on AI agents. I'm bullish on Virtuals, I guess, in the long term. But right now, they still have some work to do to actually get this to a sustainable level where these AI agents actually make sense. Because right now, when you look at Twitter, there's a lot of spam from these AI accounts that actually don't really have too much meaning.
Yeah, let's talk about on-ramping a little bit. USDC, if I want to get it into Ronin, that's still not available.
So actually USDC is available. It's like, I think there's already $30 million or something like that, USDC tokens on Ronin. The easiest thing to do is you just try to create a wallet. You can create it using Ronin Waypoint, which is an upgrade that we have to the Ronin wallet, where you just need your email account, email address, and then an MPC wallet is being created. It's actually a perfect solution for net new users to come into crypto.
Well, a new user, but I think a lot of people that are in crypto that might want to come over would most likely come over from like a Coinbase or some sort of centralized exchange, but being able to transfer USDC most of the time will go that route. But what you're saying is this still has to go through places like MoonPay, et cetera,
If you're talking about the native transactions between USDC from Coinbase, I think that's going to take some time because we actually deployed the USDC contract a little bit before. It was, there was a guideline from the USDC team on how to do it in a very permissionless way so that they can take it over. So Ronin, in this case, has a little bit of has something to talk to with a Circle there, where we want them to take over the contract so that they can have the official integration, and that then will maybe mean that a USDC can migrate directly from Coinbase, for example.
Okay, all right. Let's go over, I'm talking about, you look at the United States now really flipping the script on what is going to be accepted as crypto. The SEC has already, it's a complete opposite spin of what we've seen 6 months ago. We know that there's going to be a White House summit on crypto. Why not get, SkyMavis, one of the biggest gaming companies out there, why not go in and say, hey, listen, we need to establish a U.S. facility or some sort of U.S. entry for SkyMavis. Instead of playing around in Singapore, just come on over here to the United States. How about that?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. And, of course, we're exploring all options to see where does it make sense to headquarter SkyMavis moving forward. I think all crypto companies want to have a friendly regulatory environment where the rules make sense and where we can actually work closely with the governments. Now, on the bright side, when you look at a company like SkyMavis, we're funded by some of the biggest venture investors in the world. A16Z, Mark Cuban, a lot of these people, even Paradigm, right? They funded us. And all of these bigger companies, and even Mark Cuban, I guess, work closely with the governments, right? So we have direct connections in there as well, where we try to, give them feedback. And Jeffrey, or Jihos, who's my American co-founder, he was actually at the inauguration. So we have some, we're trying to make sure that we are sharing our information or the knowledge that we have with the people that will listen, with the regulators. And I think that's really important so that we can help shape the future of crypto in the US and actually in the world. We're the ones who made Axie, and we actually stuck it around from that time when everything was going down all the way up to this point, and we've been keeping building ever since that time. And now users are coming back because why? They actually want to interact with the products that we have here. And to me, that gives me a lot of faith that we're on the right path. Now it's all about how do we keep executing moving forward, make sure that retention is higher, and that actually we get the best games also on Ronin moving forward.
Yeah.
And for example, Fableborn, as you mentioned, best game of the year, best mobile game, and actually on Ronin, it had massively successful NFT presale where over $21 million was locked to buy their Kingdom NFTs. Now that outstrips anything we've ever seen on Ronin, and I think that's really great to see the amount of traction. So I think it was something a couple of 1,000% oversubscribed from what it should have been. So I'm super excited about Fableborn, and mobile games in particular is how we will onboard the users into crypto around the world. That's generally what I believe.
What would be, say, one or two things that you guys have in your roadmap that for 2025 that you feel are going to be fairly significant if you were to achieve them?
So this is probably a little bit of a leak and something that I know a lot of the community is waiting for. If you look at something unique that Ronin has, we have the Ronin protocol treasury. So basically, whenever a user is trading on Katana Exchange, a part of that goes back into the protocol treasury. Whenever someone is trading on the Ronin marketplace, maybe it's the Mavis market, a part of that is actually going back into the Ronin protocol treasury right now. Now, a lot of those tokens are spread into Wrapped ETH, Ronin, and many, many different type of tokens. And right now, we are actively exploring if there is something we can do to basically begin a buyback of Ronin tokens. And I think that's really where the market should be headed. We need more fundamentals. They need to get priced on usage, of course, but also are they capturing any revenue? And on the bright side, the Ronin protocol treasury already has $3.6 million in revenue inside of it. So I guess we'll see where that leads. And if we can do that, that would make me really, really happy. And I think that the community was also really excited about that.
Yeah, for sure. Aleksander, it's always good catching up with you. Thank you so much for coming in today. We love breaking it down with you.
Thank you for having me once more. And I'm excited to see where the tech path takes us, I guess.
Yes. Yes, absolutely. Well, again, thanks for coming in. We appreciate it. All right, if you guys are not in the Diamond Circle, that's our own private group right now. By the way, I want to remind everybody, we only have one Telegram account. It's official Paul Barron. We use a link down below so you can always get to it from here or our website. There has been reports of more fake accounts out there. So just be cautious of any kind of accounts out there. Always check. Go back to the source in whether it's Twitter, X, obviously over on Telegram. But check it out. Make sure and follow me on X, just @Paul Barron. We'll catch you next time right here on TechPath.